Yeah. Some people coming in, and we're gonna see who's gonna show up this evening. We just no. Yes. Okay. Trying to reconnect. Trying to.
We're trying to connect these people to healthy relationships.
Amen. Right. How they gonna have these healthy relationships? Don't rebound. Shoot. Yeah. So yes. Good evening. Good evening.
There should be like some music playing right now.
I know that. Let me see. Right.
You look like you got some.
Yes. Can't see from here, but I think that's. It says Angela. Hey, Angela. Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you doing? What's going on? Good evening, good evening. Come on in, and we're going to do some chatting this evening. We are going to talk and have some girl talk, girl time on this Thursday evening. Let's see who else we have. Hey, Tony, how are you? What's going on? I would hit the wave button, but I'm just going to wave because we're too far from the camera, so and we don't have a background producer just yet. Right. So we're just gonna say hello to those of you who are chiming in and coming in. So we're gonna have some girl talk. Well, not just girl talk. We're gonna have some Facebook Live talk. That's what we're gonna do today.
To empower everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, I was waiting on people. I was thinking about how last time we said we're not gonna be before you very long.
And
it'll be like 30 minutes. But everybody does it. I was listening to Jamal Bryant, what's his name? Jamal Bryant, friend or whatever his name is. And he was talking, he was like, I'm not gonna be before y'all that long. He was like 45 minutes. But it was good.
It's good stuff.
It's good.
You get to talking and you get to, discussing and things happen. Yeah. And we in here. All right, so good evening, everybody. I am Luana Michelle, and I enlighten, encourage, and empower you to live to your fullest potential. And this is
Ariel,
the author of
The Inner Circle.
Co-author. So she's an author, speaker, and she has her own nonprofit organization. So called
Seven Pearls.
Called Seven Pearls.
And it is a program that helps girls between the ages of 6 and 12. And so if you have any young girls that need some encouragement and some love and some mentoring, please reach out to me, Ariel Scott.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are going to get on here this evening. As I said, we're not going to be before you long. However, we're just going to discuss some topics. And if you see in the title, it talks about don't rebound, reset, how to bounce back, and how to get your life together after a failed relationship. And so when we're talking about relationships, are we just talking about like romantic relationships?
We're talking about business. We're talking about your friendships that you have with your girlfriend.
Yes.
Or if you're a dude and you have some good guy friends, we're talking about all of
Yes,
that.
and that's important.
And sometimes when we think about relationships, we automatically go to the romantic side.
Right.
But it's not just romantic. There's so many other relationships you have. You have relationships with different people in your community.
Absolutely.
And are either people that you think are just people that are maybe associates. You
Yep.
have so many different relationships. So how do you work through those relationships and keep a positive attitude?
That's good. Focus. Yeah, that's good because when you do hear relationships, you hear male, female, you hear those romantic. So it is important to understand that it is not just romantic relationships. This is going to cover all relationships, all across the board, all across the world. And so we're going to talk about that. So we're talking about not rebounding. So what exactly is, when we talk about rebounding, what is that? So okay, we know playing basketball, we know playing, when you rebounded, you catch the ball that didn't go into the hoop and it's the ball flying in the air, right? But what is your idea? What's rebounding to you?
For me, it can look different on a relationship end because you're like, I don't want to have another rebound. But it can also be a positive thing. I think sometimes when you look at rebounding, it's like keeping your focus and keeping your momentum to keep looking in the right direction. Because if you look at a basketball game, when they're playing a basketball game and you see that they're down 16 points, you know, like trying to get to, you know, that point where they're like, okay, we're beating them, or, you know, we're right at that point. Sometimes you can feel like, oh, there's no way. But the reason why people tend to do good when they're at the back end of trying to rebound is because they're keeping their focus. They know their perspective is to win the game. So you can walk away and be like, oh man, they're about to lose, and then you come back and you're like, how did that happen? Now they like neck and neck, or either they're above. And so rebounding can be a good thing. It's not always a bad thing, but it is about a perspective. So you could be a person that's like, shoot, I'm about to rebound and go back out here and get into another business deal or get into another relationship, and you end up getting in a bad situation because your perspective is, maybe I just want to get laid, or maybe I just want to have company, and then you end up in a bad situation. So it's two different ways you can look at it.
Yeah. And then too, when you're looking at rebounding, a lot of times rebounding is just filling that void. Like you've gone through this hurtful situation. Again, it's not just romantic. So you may have gone through a bad business relationship, or a bad, just, you know, whatever, at your job, something has happened, and now you are trying to fill this void, and so you're just connecting with whatever comes along just to fill that, and just to maybe distract yourself from what the pain that you're actually feeling. And so that would be a rebound as well. So instead of dealing with the pain, and instead of dealing with the situation of basically how you got there and all of that, that's what we're going to talk about. But now you're trying to distract yourself. Now you're saying, you know, this stuff hurt, and I'm just going to fill this void. And that can be very challenging. That can be very traumatic, because now you're operating out of your feelings. And so your feelings of hurt, your feelings of pain, and now you just kind of, it's like somebody that's a drug addict. You know, you just want, instead of dealing with it, you want to cover it up, and you want to sweep it under the rug. So sometimes they say the best way to get over somebody is to get up on another one. That's not it, y'all. That is not it. That is not the way to do that. So we're going to give you 5 ways to help you through that. Now, when we talk about these 5 different areas, one of the things that we discovered is that we were like, okay, yeah, it's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's really not. So if you think about these points that we're going to give you, if you think about they're in a circle, or they're in this circular motion, that you can come in at any one of these points and start this whole circular motion. So it's not where this is the first thing you have to do, or this is the second thing that you have to do. This is just something that you can kind of implement at any point in your life, at any point of the traumatic area. So that's one of the things we wanted to point out, because we were looking at, man, this is good stuff, but you can really come in at any point. So we're going to talk about that. And let's talk about the first point. So again, we're talking about not rebounding, but resetting after a failed relationship. And another thing too, fail does not always mean that you're a failure. So we want to throw that out there as well. It doesn't mean that you are a failure. It just means that you need to reset and start over again, and that's okay. So let's start with the first one that we're going to put out there. Let's talk about release.
Yeah.
What is that?
So I think release is really good in a relationship setting, because when you're able to release something, that means that you're able to say, hey, I can let this go to another thing. Luana and I, before things got started, we were talking about, if I can say this, and we're going to cover it, how there was 2 that we were going back and forth on, and it was being able to release and accept. Either when you come in it's okay, but when I think about releasing something, I think about little kids. Whenever they're playing with something and they have a toy and their mom is like, you have to be able to share, you have to share. The one thing that they have to do is be able to release it and give it to that child, or give it to whoever who wants it. Once they're able to release it, it's almost like, okay, what do I do now? What do I do next? And the sense of releasing allows you to almost be like the meme that a lot of people may have seen on Facebook, when Jesus is standing before the little girl and she has the doll. He has that doll and it's behind him, and he's like, hey, I have something bigger, and she has something small. And it's just like, if you give me what you have, I'm going to be able to give you something bigger. So when you're looking at relationships, it's almost coming into it in the sense of saying, okay, I know I had this really bad business deal, or maybe I had this great business deal and I need to let somebody go. The only way I can get to the next place is being able to release it and let it go.
Yeah. And that release is important because it's natural for us to hold on to what's comfortable. We want to hold on to the thing that, even though it is so uncomfortable to us, we can find sometimes be comfortable in the uncomfortableness. And so we hold on to that because it's something that may have been in it for a very long time. And so the scary thing is to release it, because why? We don't know what's going to happen after that. We don't know, if something is going to feel it. We don't know what's the next step. And so there's a fear factor that comes along with releasing, because we just have no idea, which is the reason why when we tend to release it, we try to hurry up and feel that with things that are not of God, or with things that are not supposed to be a part of our lives. And so that's what also puts us in that rebound situation, or the bad rebound situation, because we're trying to fill that void. And instead of just saying release it, and then like, okay, the next step or the next thing is that accept peace. So now that we've released it, let's talk about accepting it. So
and I think that goes back to the analogy that I gave, like when two kids are playing with something and that one kid really, really wants something and they're able to release it and give it away, the next thing that they have to do is say, I accept the fact that this toy is no longer mine.
Right.
And I have to look at you and I have to play with, I have to watch you play with it. Well, that same thing can go into a relationship that maybe you had with someone romantically, or a business, or whatever the case may be. Okay, well, I released this person from me. They're no longer in my life. I had to now I have to accept the fact that I may see them out with another person. Or maybe that business deal I had, now that person moved on with somebody else in the community, and maybe their business is working. Well, I have to accept the fact that I had to release that person, and now I have to accept it, because maybe now something better is coming into my life that is more beneficial towards not just me, but my purpose. Sometimes I may be seeing this wrong, but people always say a setback is always for a setup for something good. So if you look at it like that, it can help you accept whatever is happening around you.
True. And then along with that, when you are accepting the fact that you are no longer going to allow this situation or this pain to have control over you. So now that you're accepting this, you're saying, you know what? I'm going to control this thing instead of it controlling me. Because we can operate, again, out of our emotions, and that is not going to be effective, because we're sometimes angry and we say the wrong things. Sometimes we maybe feel that the feeling of abandonment, and now we want to again fill that void, or now we're feeling frustrated, and so all of these different feelings are controlling us, instead of saying, I accept this stuff and I'm going to control it so it won't control me. And so number one, we talked about that release part, and then number two is accepting it. Accepting, I accept my responsibility. I accept the fact that I have put myself in this position. I accept the fact that I made the decisions to be where I am or where I used to be. I accept this position of, what part did I play in all of this? And so we're accepting that. Now you're controlling the situation. And so after that, this is a huge piece, because the reflection is huge as well. So let's talk about that. We talked about release. We talked about accept. Now let's talk about reflection. So why is that important?
I think being able to reflect takes you on to a journey where you can either grow or either you can die. So you can say to yourself, okay, why would I die when I reflect? You can stay in two places at the same time. At different times, and it can bring you something good or bad. So the reason why I said die is because you can reflect on, I love them so much, and I thought that I was going to marry this person, or I just knew I was going to make this much money in this great business deal.
You better tell it.
And you're reflecting so long on that situation to the point to where you can't go anywhere.
Right.
So you can reflect on something and die, or you can reflect in something and grow. Simple thing, for an example is, having somebody in your life that that you may have been in a relationship for a long time. And maybe when you were in that relationship, maybe they were verbally abusive. Maybe they were a cheater. I don't know. Maybe they did things to you behind closed doors that nobody knew. But if you could look at that situation and not hold on to the fact and the shame of maybe everybody knows that person hurt me or they beat on me, but say, you know what, I'm going to first reflect on this situation and see that I am worth not being in this situation, so I don't have to stay in this situation. So for me, either you can reflect and die, or you can reflect and grow and get out of the situation.
And that growth piece, so those of you who actually know, I love talking about just human relations and the psychology of the mind and why people do what they do. But there's a term that's called post-traumatic growth. And if you think about it, okay, if there's a post-traumatic disorder, then there has to be an opposite side of the post-traumatic disorder, which is called post-traumatic growth. And basically what that is the psychological behavior, the psychological change that people experience after a traumatic experience. So they have this whole traumatic situation that has happened, but now this traumatic experience has pushed them into a transformation of their mind that's going to push them into a positive experience. So this is going to increase your way of saying, you know what, I'm going to change my way of thinking because of this traumatic experience. Now, that only comes from the traumatic experience. So sometimes, we have to go through a bad situation to push us into purpose or to push us into the next level. And sometimes that takes a traumatic experience to do. And it also causes you how to really think about how you relate to the world that's going on around you. So if you're kind of thinking about, okay, man, what's going on around me at this particular moment? If there's chaos going around you, then the post-traumatic growth is going to say, I need to get out of this chaotic situation. If there is, some not so good things that's going on, or if it's not, if it's some bad energy, or bad spirits, or bad, environment, then that post-traumatic growth is going to say, I need to change my position. I need to get out of this so I can make sure that I'm moving and I'm functioning at a positive and at a greater dimension than what I am now. And so a lot of times, what we call, the post-traumatic disorder, that causes the negative setback, that causes those mental issues, those emotional instability. But the post-traumatic growth is where you literally are catapulted into the next dimension of what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So when you think about the reflection piece, all of that can happen in that, because now you're reflecting on your, what you did. You're reflecting on, okay, what happened, what did I do? And now you're going into the next season or your next purpose. And so we have release. Girl,
I'm gonna use this. I'm talking to somebody. You gotta release. You gotta accept.
You showed right. Exactly. We might have to put that into a book or something.
I was thinking that.
Come on, Jesus.
Come on.
All right. So yes, release.
And if I can even say something,
okay.
Side note, when you go to relationships, this right here is a relationship, right? And you need relationships to, yes, Lord, to push you to a different place, to get you to a different place. So in this situation, we reflected, right?
Yeah.
We were in this situation right now where we're saying, okay, the first thing that we have to do is be able to release something. Releasing something is me coming along with you whenever she invites me to release this video to people, right? We're releasing it right now. And the next thing we have to do is we have to accept the fact that, only 5 people are on right now. But that's okay. That's okay, because the numbers are going to come up when we look and we see more people are there. No, but honestly, we have to accept the fact that, no, I'm being real. We're not like, Kanye West. We're not going to get 1 million views. But we knowing that we're going to get to a place where we're going to be able to reflect. No, serious. I'm being so serious. And right now we're reflecting into something and say, oh, this could be a book, right? But we know that can come into reality, because the other book that I wrote was me and my friends talking. We were reflecting on some things, and it came about. So with friendships and say, oh my gosh, you know, I can take this moment right now and I can reflect on the fact that maybe in my relationship with, whether it was romantic or business or just friendship, maybe I was codependent, right? So maybe in the midst of me being codependent in a relationship with somebody, I need to reflect and say, what can I do differently to the point to where I'm not codependent on this person or these people, so that I can move into a better place for myself. But how you get there is being able to reflect.
True. And then all of these are like interchangeable. You know, you can be in reflection mode and then go back to like release, and then come back to reflection, and then step into accept, and then go into the next one that we're going to talk about, which is learn. So all of these are kind of interchangeable, and you can, like I said before, you can step into each one of them at any moment, and then just kind of go from there. So that may be something. Okay. Yes. Okay. Let's go.
I love it.
All right, let's go into the next one. Let's talk about learn. Learn. So we have now released, we've accepted, we are reflected. Now we're learning. What we learning?
You know, I couldn't wait till you get to this one, because I was ready to go ahead, but I was like, I'm gonna wait. When I think about this, I think about Quick Trip, and I think about Get and Go. Get and Go. So many of y'all, I don't know if y'all know, but they were once together at one point. But Quick Trip, and I may have it kind of mixed up, but it's making a point. It's gonna make a point. Quick Trip decided to go their own way. That was a relationship, a business relationship that they had in that situation. So what did they have to do? The people that own Quick Trip had to release themselves away from another business. After they released that themselves from that, they had to accept that now we have to start something that we really want to do, that we feel that will be profitable for our company. Once they did that, they had to reflect on the things of how can we make our business different from every other gas station, which must have been some good reflecting, because Quick Trip is almost like McDonald's for some kids, you know? They're like, my mom gonna take me to a Quick Trip, I'm gonna go to McDonald's, you know? But they had to sit there and they had to reflect, and in the midst of that, they learned that, hey, you know, we have to make sure that we market ourselves in a way to the point to where our consumers want to come back all the time. So what are the things that I can learn from other gas stations that they're doing wrong to maybe set us up for the best? That's what I look at when I think about learning.
Yeah, and then, you know, in that, you know, you're learning more about what you like, what you don't like. So you're learning a whole lot. If you allow yourself, you learn a whole lot about yourself. In this whole season of learning, now you're going, like, learning and reflect can kind of go hand in hand and go together, because you're reflecting on the things that you would like to learn, the things that you've learned in all of these different situations. Okay, so I know, I've learned that I like to talk to this type of people. Or I've learned that, you know what, I don't like this. I've learned that, oh, you know what, this is a deal breaker. Or I've learned that, you know what, this is really not so bad. Like, I can deal with this. So in those seasons of rebounding, or you're trying to find yourself, or trying to find that next level of whatever, you know, looking back at those things that you have learned. What did you learn? And also, what are some of those things that you have to unlearn? Like, you have been operating so much and so long in a certain behavior or a certain characteristic that had you not gone through this traumatic experiences, you wouldn't have learned that this is not, like, this is not good about me. It's not good that I got a smart mouth, you know, or it's not good that I have an attitude all the time, or it's not good. And so this is going to require you even to receive and to get feedback from other people, from your, you know, your relation, your friends, people that really care and love you. You have to get some feedback in that learn moment, because again, you know, you want to learn more about yourself, and sometimes you can't see those things about you that other people see. Because, you know, what happens is we operate out of, like, our intent. We intend to do good stuff. We intend to do those things. But sometimes how it impacts other people is so different from what we intended it to be.
Or you can be that person that says, you know, you always meet those guys that they were like, oh, he was a good guy. Until he got with Sally, and Sally messed him up. Or until he got with Takeshi.
Okay.
And that person, y'all, I'm really funny.
If your name is Tacriciana,
I'm
I'm sorry.
And I actually know a Tacriciana. I hope she knows watching. I ain't talking about you. But, you know, you can be that person that learns something bad. And so, since this person did you really bad in this relationship, now you want to make sure you manipulate the situation. You want to make sure that you hurt, not necessarily hurt the person, but, this person hurt me, so now I'm just going to hurt everybody. Yeah. So, being able to learn from your situations and say that I'm not going to go down that same road that I was at one point.
That's good. Yeah. And so you learn that. And again, there's only some situations that are going to happen that again push you into that post-traumatic growth that will push you into that. And had you not gone through that, you wouldn't have learned. So take heed to all these points, because it's really good. And these are things that we have literally gone through. So it's not something that we read in but this is the book right here. Like, these are things that
2021.
Oh Lord, she was putting out there.
2022. Okay, let's do that. And give us time to write.
2021, if not 2020 at the end. Okay, we're gonna get this thing together.
Yes.
But it's already spoken. It's already.
I was thinking about. I had a good point. It just went out of my head because we was laughing. It really was a good point. I was like, dang, check.
Okay. Yes.
I'll come back to it.
We're gonna come back to that one. Okay. Okay, so we have release, we have accept, we have reflect, we have learn. And the fifth one is take action.
Yes.
Taking action is now putting in the plan of action, because 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen? That same situation, it's going to come back. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in a different form. It's going to be in a different person. It's going to be in a totally different situation. But it's going to cause those same feelings, and it's going to come back around. So you have to have a plan of action to say, when this thing comes back, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And that causes you have to have accountability. You have to have the mind transformation. You have to shift your thinking. You know, if there's some people that you have to like disconnect from, you have to do that. If there's some situations that you have to move from, and sometimes you may not be able to physically move, but you can move as much as you can into another environment. You literally have to say, you know what, I'm going to be intentional about not putting myself in that same position, and you have to really follow through on that. And accountability is so important. So when we talk about accountability, why is that, when we talk, moving forward and taking action, why is accountability important to you think?
I think that is really good, because I think if I can talk about someone that we both know, which is Rebound, he's somebody out there who is a life coach, who is a business coach. He really pushes you to get to another place. He's that accountability that says, okay, well, you say you want to write a book. You say you want to be a speaker. You say you want to start a new business. Yeah. Okay, well, let's do it.
Yep.
Okay, well, here's the action steps, and this is what you need to do. And if I could say, I think for me, for sure, that's the reason why I have moved out and done so many more things than what I have done, even Luana has done, because of him saying, hey, this is what you need to do. This is your action step, and this is how you get there. But in the midst of you getting there, what are you going to do to get there? I think one of the things that he's talked about is making sure you have a goal. Yeah. And when you have a goal, you have to make sure you check your motives. And when you check your motives, the motives help you stay focused on where you're going. So if you're saying, oh, okay, well, I want to start a nonprofit that helps feed the homeless. Okay, well, are you doing that because you want to gain attention and you want people to see you? Or are you doing that because of the simple fact you really, really want to help somebody? You really want to change your community. So making sure that you stay accountable to the things that people are telling you that you need to do. Right. I know Luana has done that to me many a times. It's like, okay, so you say you want to do this. Well, what's stopping you?
She used to call me Debo.
Yeah, she used to debone me all the time, y'all. And I'm already small. But it's okay, though. But when you have those people, it almost kind of puts things in alignment, because they're like, okay, you said you want to do this. You wrote it down. Yeah. So I'm holding you accountable for it. And being around people that are doing great things, too. And also knowing how to stay in your lane. Yeah. You know, one of the things Luana and I talked about before we got on is how do we market ourselves? Not just us in this situation, but separately in our own lives. Like, how do you market yourself to become more noticeable? That means being able to accept who you are and being okay with it. I mean, if you look at chicken, many people sell chicken in different ways. You have Popeyes, Church's Chicken, Cane's. You have all these different places, but they all sell it in a different way. So what is your purpose? What is your motives? How are you going to set up yourself to look different so that you don't go into the same cycle that some people go into where they mess up?
And that takes action. Like that really does take action and intentionality. Really reaching out to the people that are going to be able to help you, that have literally overcome where you have been. And so I know for me, I've always said, I don't want anybody that's in the same boat with me. I want somebody that is on the bank, they've gotten across the river, they are on the bank, and they're actually directing me to say, Luana, don't go over there to those, because don't go that way, because they're sticks and rocks, because they have a different perspective. And so when you are talking about taking action and you are really trying to change your life, you're trying to change your environment, then you have to have somebody that's going to hold you accountable. And sometimes, when you're seeking out people, you have to have God's help on that. The people that we think that we need, sometimes those are really not the people that we need, because their motive may be wrong, or your motive may be wrong. But just start asking God, what do who am I supposed to partner with? Who am I supposed to connect with? Who's supposed to be my mentor? Who's supposed to be the person that is advising me? And remember, and really think about that. And it depends on where you're going. So you have to have a vision of where you're going, where it is that you want to go. But it also takes intentionality. And so it takes stepping out of your box. It takes, letting go of some things. We talked about the release. It goes to accepting your responsibility in this whole thing, accepting that you've made the decisions to be where you are. Now you have to make that decision to go forward. And it talks about also we said release, accept, the reflection piece of it, and the learn. So you reflect. Okay, there's some things that I need to learn, and there's some things that I need to let go of, and so you're reflecting now on that whole inner person of you, and then you're going to take action. So again, if you remember, those are the 5 points, but however, if you think of them as in a circle, you can come in at any one of these points and move forward. And I think that's just a good way of looking at it. So they're not in any numerical order. It's not you have to start here and learn and then start. No, you can and then also you can interchange between any one of them. And so we're talking about, again, don't rebound. Don't try to live out of your emotions. Don't do that. Yeah. Just reset by using these 5 different steps.
And if I can say 2 more things, and then I'll pass it on to you. When you talk about emotions can change.
Absolutely.
They are real to you in that moment, but we can make the decision to choose to accept that emotion or to let that emotion go. So I really do hope that you guys out there, you take what we're saying, and I say even get a poster board, get a piece of paper, and write a circle and put whoever that person is in that relationship that you're thinking about, whether that be a business relationship or a romantic relationship or a friendship that you may have shared with somebody. Put that person in the middle and look at those things that we've all talked about and say, how does this align with me? How do I go to the next place so that I can get to that place where I can come out stronger and I can be a better person to create action plan, to get somebody that can be accountable to you so that you can move through that circle no matter where you are. One of the things I talked about with Luana, sometimes you can think about somebody dying, having a death in your family. You have to be at a place, either you're going to accept it or you're going to be able to release it. In my opinion, you have to release the person first because they're going to have to go underneath the ground. And then you have to accept the fact that they're gone. Is that a bad thing that you accepted? No, but you're going to learn from it and say, you know what, I know this person is gone out of my life, but I have to reflect on the great things about that person. Okay, now the action step, I got to move forward. If that means that maybe this person left a legacy to you, how do I move forward from the legacy that they left me to make my home or me as a person better? So take the time to write things down. We always hear in the Bible it says to write the vision and make it plain. Well, this is your vision today. It's starting today. Make your vision, who that person is, And how do you move through that circle to get to a better place?
Yeah, that is so good. So hopefully you all were
Yes.
encouraged by this. I was definitely encouraged by the word.
I was thinking about people in my life.
I was definitely look, y'all, book done came out of this. You know,
Look at God.
look at God. But yeah, so I was definitely encouraged. Sometimes, you know, the word has to encourage you first before you put it out to other people. And so this is definitely has been good for us. So thank you all so much.
Yes.
Before we leave, I do want to give a shout out to my girl, Tamika White. She has t-shirt line, nothing but positive energy.com. Her story, y'all, if you can just listen to what she's talking about, her background story of how she is helping the community, how she came up with this nothing but positive energy t-shirt. This is her motto. This is her life purpose. This is her life. This is how she lives. And if any of you all know Tamika White, she's actually on Facebook, and I'll put her information in the comments. But nothing but positive energy. And if you know anything about negative energy, then you know that that's not something that we want to be in, right? And so when you're thinking about, we just talked about accountability, we talked about being connected with the right types of people and learning. So Tamika's story, if you all know her, if not, go and search her out. Nothing but positive energy.com. She's on Facebook under Tamika White. And she has different t-shirts, and for the next few times I'm going to be wearing this just to show the different ones that she has, because she is doing some great things out here. And it's a v-neck, it's very cotton, it's all of this. And if you all can see, this is the what's it, camo, yeah. So the army print.
Yeah, if you're out there, type it in. Type it in, because clearly she doesn't know.
I know. But this is she has all kinds of different colors and all kinds of different t-shirts. And so again, the reason why she does this, her story is out there on the website, on her website. Again, it's called nothing but positive energy.com. So shout out to my girl Tamika. She's doing some awesome things in her community, and she even has a vision that's so much bigger. So go out and support her. And again, thank you all so much for watching. We appreciate you. You could have been anywhere else. You could have been watching another Facebook Live. You could have been watching something on YouTube, but we thank you for being here with us in these short minutes that we said we were going to be on. Thank you all for watching. Any last words, comments?
That's good. Thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you all so much. We appreciate you. Again, I'm LaWanna Michelle, and I enlighten, encourage, and empower you to live to your fullest potential. Have a great evening.